got so many things going on. I thought I should sit down and get at least a video done before I go running off into my day. I'm hoping that by doing this in the first part of my day, I'm still in my pajamas and everything. I'm like, whatever, we can have a little convo, right? We're just friends. But I was hoping that by having this done in the first part of my day, I would then be able to knock out my list and maybe get another one done, because this is Love is Blind Season 5, Episode 9, I believe. It is the wedding dress shopping and the preparation. I have a couple of thoughts on this. I kind of mentioned in my other, I swear, every time I start talking, like the animals go crazy, but whatever. I have a couple of thoughts of this. I mentioned in my last video, I think, and that is that I feel like when we're zeroing in on this process now, we are at a different place this season than we have been like in the first season, for instance, because I feel like we've had couples already quit us. They're like, we're done, we're moving on, right? So the option to leave is there. Now, in the very first season, it was the girl who drank wine with her dog. I can't remember her name. But she had said afterwards that like she knew she wanted to leave and they wouldn't let her. Hold on. And there were some allegations that like other couples, I think it's been mostly females, saying like we weren't really into this, but we, you know, production made us stick through it. I don't feel like we have that situation now. Like obviously JP and Taylor were like, we're out, peace, you know? So when you get to this part of it, I am curious, the motivation, if you think you are going to say no, the motivation of going through picking a dress and stuff, because it feels like it would kind of like spoil the actual experience when you get there, right? But what I was wondering, like, I feel like these two women have had two very different conversations with us about this. And Stacy, who I feel like is closer to saying no. In fact, I mentioned it last time. I feel like the outfit she wore to meet her mother-in-law would not be the outfit she was gonna wear if she thought she was saying yes. Absolutely not. It just brought an energy of like, I wanna look cute on camera, but I don't give an F about impressing you, right? But anyway, and actually looking cute on camera is arguable. I'm just saying it was a fashion choice I don't think she would have made had she thought she was impressing her, like making the first impression on her future in-laws. That's all. But Stacy has talked about how she has never really cared. She's never really wanted this. Her family, I believe, said they never really heard this from her. So I feel like for her, this is just a day of shopping and she enjoys shopping and that's fun and the attention's on her and that's fun. And I'm going to be watching for how often she uses the baby voice, because I feel like a lot of times when she is talking with Izzy and gets into like this, like, that's why I love you so much. That's why you make me feel so special. It's like not real. It's like so almost as if she can't even pull off really saying those things in a believable way. So she pushes it all the way to like baby talk. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that's how I feel. So I'm interested to see if that comes up. And then for Lydia, I have been over the last couple of episodes starting to like hear and see things in this couple that make me feel like they could really go a distance, and it makes me really excited. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a great experience with her, for her, and that she will not say no. That she will get to like carry this amazing experience into an actual marriage and not like have it taken away and then have to like go do it again when she finally meets somebody she is going to marry, if that makes any sense. So without further ado, I've got my coffee, my pumpkin spice, because I'm a basic witch, and I'm ready. Let's go. Stacy's mom says that she thinks Stacy probably needed this experiment because she felt like Stacy would absolutely look at somebody and then decide if she wanted to be with them. But this experiment forced her to go deep. And it's like, girl, you have not seen the footage yet. She does not go deep. She keeps it very surface and kind of like laughs and feeds him back whatever he wants to hear. But okay. And then the sisters are like, we love him. He's amazing. And it again, it's like, this is such an odd concept to me. Like I mean, I'm gay, you know, and so like the partner I chose for myself is not the partner that my parents would have chosen for me. Like if I'm being quite honest. And so do I think that they are now happy for me? I think that they are, they love me, and I think they love my wife. And I think that they know that we did a good job with raising our kids and that we are a good, solid family. But I don't know if any of that would change the fact that I think that they would change who my partner was if they could. So for me, the like level of like looking, like including your family in this decision making process is it's a little strange. But I can also, I guess I'm like, it's interesting to me if you're not 100% on board. Like, I feel like at this point, Stacey knows she's not happy with his finances. She's not happy with like how he treats her. Like, he's not doing anything to make up for it. So why is she involving her family? It's just very confusing. Unless she feels like she's getting something from the show, like the publicity and stuff, I don't understand. And if it was about getting publicity and an image on the show, I don't know that she would make the choices to behave the way she behaved so badly towards Johnny. Even though Johnny might legitimately not be somebody she'd be friends with, the ugliness and the level of cattiness and the level of disgusting behavior there, it just feels like if you're using the show for notoriety, that wouldn't be the notoriety you want. And if you're not, then what are you doing? Because you've already expressed that you weren't looking for a husband, you never really wanted it in your life, and now you don't even seem interested in him really. So why are we still doing this? I'm just confused. Yeah, Stacey's having like a ball. She's shopping, and nothing's intimidating about shopping. She's got her glitterized, like bejeweled jacket on, and she's like playing, and then she talks about how, like, because it's got his last name, like it says like Mrs. Zapata or something, and he got teary-eyed, and she's like, oh my God, this is supposed to be fun. But like, she doesn't do the complete baby voice, but when she's wearing the jacket and like, she's kind of like, look, Mrs. Zapata. It's that voice. It's very fake. She's having fun. She's the center of attention. She's getting to show off how cool and like unexpected she is, because she doesn't just want the glittery crap. She wants something like, ooh, different. As long as I'm thinking like, what the hell? That's what I'm trying on. You know, I might like Frankenstein myself a dress, which is fine. It's just like, this is all just fun for her now because there's no levity to the situation, because she does not care. She doesn't care because it ain't happening. You know, if it had happened, what, we're a week out, we're less than a week out. If it was going to happen, we would have seen a scene where they talked about a prenup. No way is she just entering into that with no conversation. So yeah, as expected, she's having a ball. But they do, like, as they're talking about things, kind of flash to Lydia, who is in tears, thinking about falling in love with Milton. That's adorable. I'm happy. I'm into it. Izzy is demonstrating the epitome of delusion. If we didn't communicate as well as we did, I might be nervous. If we didn't resolve issues as well as we do, I might be nervous. If we weren't as connected as we are, I might be nervous. Like, bro, what? What? Now, I don't actually think that this is him lying to the cameras or to the people. I think this is him lying to himself. I think he exists in a certain level of self-delusion just to be himself. And so I'm like interested in how hard that's gonna crash and burn. And I hope they let him say yes first. I do. But it's like, where are you? Like, what conversations are you having? How are you this level of completely confused? You know, like, he has no doubts. He is so confident in that girl. And I'm going to go way back to the very beginning and say, I think it's because of how she answers him. Izzy projects what he wants to hear about himself. He projects the feedback he wants. And Johnny had a whole conversation with him where he shifted and was like, oh my God, I'm hearing things that are coming from outside of my delusion. This doesn't fit. It doesn't feel good. Stacey was very careful to like feed back or leave it blank enough that he could then feed it back to himself. Like, if I'm like, isn't it such a beautiful day? And I want to hear that the person I'm talking to is like, you know, into the day the same way I am. And somebody says, well, I mean, the weather over here isn't that great. It's like, what? Don't mess with my delusion about the weather and the day. But if I say, isn't it such a beautiful day? And the other person goes, I've never seen a day like this. They did not agree with me. They left that open. And I am choosing to think that what they mean is that they think it's so beautiful, they've never seen it. When really it could be burning down on that side. And I don't know, because that's not what they said. She allowed him to fill in his blanks about how she feels about him, about how she feels about the world, about the progress they're making. And I think that is this level of delusion. Like, it is happening. Over there is my TV. I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and my TV and my TV's right there. It's like all one big room. But anyway, so that's why I'm pointing over there, because Izzy is currently on my screen and he is just in his full delusion, and I am waiting for him to say yes and her to say no. I hope they give him the chance. Stacey picks a dress that is basically like a bodice, like a well-fitted kind of plain bodice, and what she calls 4,000 tutus. It's a very big, poofy skirt. And I think this is I don't know, this is, to me, it's like a typical ball gown. Like it's like, or like a Disney princess ball gown. It's got like the tiny top and then the big poofy skirt. They put like a belt of like pearls around it, but which is fine. They're like, oh, you're radiant. And she's like, it's so me. But I'm confused because you've been talking about how it's got to be weird. It's got to be off. It's got to be unexpected. It can't be boring. And then I mean, it's a beautiful dress. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just confused on like how you equated those two things. Other than the idea that you also live in a state of delusion, which is how you are two boats about to crash and like sink like the Titanic, because you're like, I don't think she's delusional about the relationship. I think she's kind of like delusional about her self-importance. Maybe not. Maybe she's completely right on, because it's her own world and it's Stacey's world. So in her world, she's the most important, which is fine. If that's how you're choosing to live. It's not really fine if you're involving other people and telling them that you're in love with them, because that's not true. But I don't think, as far as I know, I cannot recall a time that she directly said, I love you. She might have said like, I love this, or I love this about us, or that's what I love about you. But I can't recall the time if she actually said, I love you. I feel like our scene with Milton is really good for the couple, because he is describing Lydia as explosive, passionate, stubborn, you know, and he's not to be like, oh, those are all terrible things. Those are not necessarily bad. I mean, stubborn can be rough, but it can also work out. Like, you know what I mean? So they're not necessarily bad words, and he's not saying them in a negative connotation, but he clearly sees her and can see the parts of her that might cause issues in the relationship, and he is identifying them. And he also expresses that he knows that he has to choose his words, that she is an emotional being. And so he has to, like, when he's trying to communicate with her, he needs to be aware of his word choices, which is so true. Because I can't tell you how many conversations have gone a little left with my wife and I, because she'll use a word that triggers me, or I'll use a word that triggers her. And after frustrating, like, slightly raised voices, or sometimes very raised voices, and like going round and round, we realize we're basically saying the same thing. It's just our word choices completely confuse the other person. So I feel like he's got a very good read on the situation. He's very aware. There is, unlike the other couple, there is no delusion here. I feel like he's very clear on what he has, what they have. And he also mentions that they have a conversation every night, that they are making the effort to communicate and connect in a very intentional way. And I think that that is awesome. I am feeling so much hope. In quick contrast to Stacey's floating head interview, where Stacey basically said, there ain't nothing intimidating about shopping. I get to shop. Lydia is like, I'm getting married. And I think that is what I was talking about in the very beginning of this. I don't think Stacey is even considering getting married at this point at all. At all. Lydia is so saying yes. She's so saying yes because the emotion that's coming from her, radiating from her, the tears, the like, I'm telling you, like, I have the chills. I don't know if you can see it, right? Like, what do they call that? Chicken skin, the chills, like goosebumps. I have them because when Lydia, it is so funny for me because Lydia and Milton came from left field. I knew I liked Milton. I was unsure about Lydia because of the Uche situation, and I was unfair to her. I will admit. Actually, was I unfair to her? I don't know. I think what, that's a cattail. Stop it, Molly. I feel like, yeah, I might have been a little bit going on like the information we had that the editors gave us. I was a little unfair. I was really, really worried that Uche would rock her boat. And I am so glad that she was ready to move away from that. And the idea that just a few months ago, she was still mixed up in that man's negativity and disgustingness, and now she's here is amazing. But what I was gonna say was, Milton reminds me of my wife. She's very analytical. She's very, I'm not saying she can't be emotional. She can, but like she can just handle things from a very different space than I do. And I am definitely a Lydia, like a little bit crazy, very explosive, a firecracker, one might say. I'm a little woo, you know, 0 to 100, maybe 150. So like, there's so much there that when I see them, like the synergy between the two of them, right? Like to see that recognition of their differences, Molly, and how they're working through it, it can be so amazing. And so for a minute now, the things that they say about each other and the way that they interact remind me so much of my wife and I. And this is a yes. This is a yes, no doubt. I'm not at all questioning. This girl is saying yes. And barring any gigantic issues that we don't know about yet, I believe Milton is saying yes. This has the makings to be very, very good. And I hope they have little babies because let me just say, I believe she talked about wanting children and about her age and wanting to have children soon. And I believe that they also mentioned adopting. I'm not 100%. I'm like, my brain is a little bit fuzzy on it, but I am trying to recall. And I believe that they talked about children and adoption. And so I hope they get that family in the way that it is meant to come to them. I think it will be beautiful. I think that with this balance of parents, they could have such amazingly well-rounded, gifted children that would bring so much into the world, you know? Like, and when I say gifted, I don't mean like, oh, straight A's. I just meant like, I think all people, all humans have gifts. And when we have the right environment to like plant those seeds and grow those gifts, the whole world benefits. And I truly believe that like this couple would be an amazing environment for children to grow in because they have bits of both. And that's amazing. Jesters are important to Stacy, so the Flower Monday got refilled and it made a difference. She was so happy. Bro, she's happy because this is almost over, okay? She's about to go flitter back to her house, her dogs, her rich boyfriends, and forget this existed. I also think it's interesting that Izzy's like, I just want to give her a taste of what the rest of our lives will be like. And it's like, where are you coming from? On what planet, without her dad paying the bills and her taking over the financial responsibility, do you give this life to her on the regular basis? What planet? Also, even if you could do this once a year, twice a year, this isn't what she wants. She wants expensive luxury vacations and traveling constantly. She wants shopping and dinner paid for. She wants fine china and gifts, like not one special day, not grocery store flowers on Monday. Not that there's anything wrong with that. My favorite flowers are crazy daisies and they come from Winn-Dixie, a grocery store down here. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, you're so off the mark. It's not even funny. Okay, he's talking about how he's been told she likes to fly on private jets. Dude, private jets are not the same as this little like rented army plane for a zip around that you took her on, right? It's not. Second of all, she did the thing where she's like, cool, unexpected, I like it. That voice is her voice of like BS. It's complete BS. This is not a date at all that Stacey would want. She doesn't want to go to the airplane hangar to look at the planes. She wants to go to the private jet hangar to get on a private luxury jet and jet off somewhere. Dinner set up clearly by Netflix. She does not want that. I'm surprised she's not complaining about the metal wine glasses. Like, metal wine glasses, where is the like the crystal, you know what I mean? Like, this is not her jam. And the idea that if he had any input on this, which I'm sure there was some input, I'm guessing that like the dates were planned with, you know, the sponsorship of the show, but like an open kind of situation. And the idea that he could miss the mark that bad, like if somebody else is footing the bill, you need to go a little higher, because this ain't it. It's not it. During the dinner conversation, we find out that they haven't had any meltdowns. My theory on that is that she is like no longer considering this at all. And so the meltdowns don't have to happen because she's not invested. Okay. They start to have a conversation about family, and we find out that a lot of his people are not the most supportive, and so they won't be invited. And he kind of, Izzy is like any good salesperson. Like, he's talking in like innuendo and half sentences. Basically like, oh, these people who loved me even when I wasn't the best. It's like, what are you exactly insinuating? She looks like she is kind of intrigued in the conversation, but also, again, does not overly care. Now, as he's talking about how he hasn't had the most supportive family and how he loves her family, she's like, oh yeah, my family loves you. You're already a part of it. You're gonna get over it so quick. You'll be annoyed by how invested they are. And in this is, again, to bring my point up, like, you are involving your family. And if any of those things are true, then they are involved with this person. But also, how involved? 3 weeks involved? Like, it's very strange. The whole concept of it is messy and strange. And I find it interesting that she is just like laughing with him and talking about how it's going to be fine because he's going to get her family, when I I don't believe, not a bone in my body believes that she intends on sharing her family with this man. What was that? A little dusty just fell? I don't know. I thought I saw one. It was a spiderweb string just come on down. She did at the very end. She said she loved him too. He said, I love you. She said, I love you too. I don't know. She's got the same shoes on this date. She's got the same shoes as she did when she got engaged. Just FYI, like the really chunky diamond-y shoes. Which is weird because she was like bashing all the like shiny dresses, but she's got these shoes on. Interesting choice, Stacey. Sister Milton is not happy, but you know what? Milton again is showing us why he's amazing. He's like, first of all, Mom always said your perception is your reality. And Sister Milton is kind of like you can't argue with Mom always said, right? Like, if it's worked in every other situation, if every time he's had a problem, Mom has picked him up, dusted him off and said, your perception is your reality, then when he's making a decision with that life philosophy, how can you argue with it? You cannot. 1. 2, she seems to be having a little bit of a struggle with the fact that he is growing up. Like, oh, we've always been such a big part of your decision-making process. Well, now he's a man, okay? And he's growing up. You're not always going to be the major factor in his decision-making process. That's not going to happen anymore. 3, she's making good points. Don't get me wrong. You're two people trying to get to know each other. It happens so fast. All very good and valid points. You've voiced them. He has a reasonable expectation of what he's going into. He has managed to articulate himself very well about it. He is showing you that he's thinking about it. He has collected his data points. At this point, all you have to do is leave him alone to do the best that he's going to do. Like, I'm not saying get on board 100% and be like, oh my gosh, this is the best decision you've ever made. But once he's shown you that he's making a rational and calm, well thought out decision, go, okay, I will support you in your decision. And whatever way this goes, I'm still on board for you. I'm gonna ride or die for you. If this works out, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be a part of this amazing process. And if it does not work out, I'll be here to support you and to pick up the pieces with you. That's it, right? That's all we need at this point. I love Milton, by the way. Like, hashtag Milton forever. Not sure what the, like, I feel like this might be the day before the wedding. I looked away to deal with cats. I need to rewind real quick. So let's go back just a second, because we just came in. Okay, hold on, backing it up. All right. We just came in, Izzy and Stacy and Izzy. I'm not sure where we're at. Our date was 2 days before the wedding. So theoretically speaking, I believe that this is 1 day before the wedding. So it's like the night after the date. The date that we saw went quite well on camera. I feel like Stacy was not, I mean, like, she was enjoying it as for what it is, but not like falling in love, and not like, this is the best date ever. Just, you know, whatever. Going through the motions, maybe is the best words. But she's clearly pissed this morning, agitated, which I'm surprised about because I thought she was done already, but okay. I guess you could still be upset. I don't know what has happened yet, but there's a very weird vibe. He is smashing his clothes into his suitcase, which I think is just like a good, like, illustration. Cause I feel like she's like, you're packing like a frat boy and not into it. I am interested to find out what happened because it seems very serious. Just a quick note on Stacy's outfit choice, because if I'm telling you that her outfit to meet her future mother-in-law proved that she was going to say no, I feel like this outfit is like a big F you. I don't even want to speak to you ever again. If I never see you, I'll be fine. Okay. Like, she's got the backwards baseball hat, like I don't know. There's just something about the way this outfit is put together that it feels very much like dismissive, and like she's just like, whatever. I'm not even playing along at this point, is what that outfit feels like it's saying. He just started talking. I think he's referencing all the great memories they've had in this apartment, you know, for like the 21 days they were there. Oh my God. Okay. So she's pissed because they apparently just had the conversation about the credit cards, where she is indicating that she has had conversations with him and he has not really disclosed the information. So she is like, basically, you said you got rid of them like after using them in college, and you know, blah blah blah, and why wouldn't you tell me that? I talked to you in the pods about finances and you told me I didn't need to know anything. Ooh. Okay, so we've had this situation happen to us on the show before, where people leave out, omit, lie directly in the pods, and then they get mad when that information comes out and the person is like, this is a deal breaker. And they're like, you're supposed to love me. It's like, well, you were supposed to disclose your entire self. So if you lied, edited, changed, and then afterwards, not only does that sow a seed of distrust, but also you basically tricked somebody into liking you and you screwed up the whole experiment yourself. Now, in this case, it would have been a deal breaker. The whole money situation would have been a deal breaker. I mean, I don't think there was a deal to be broken. I think Stacy was pretty much over it already, but like, hello. Izzy's such a freaking lying douchebag, right? I wouldn't not tell you, except that you didn't. And like, I wanted it to be like a conversation, like where we sat down and talked about it, not like a conversation that just developed on a whim while we were like cooking and doing other things. But I also wanted it to happen like organically and not like be a conversation that we like sit down and talk about a conversation. What? Basically, you wanted to avoid this as long as possible and cash that plane ticket to Money City. I don't know what I was gonna say there, but like, you know, cash that ticket to ride, right? Like he thought he had it figured out once he realized how much money she had. And now I think he's starting to be like, wait, like, oh, I should have said something. This is gonna maybe, oh no, like, don't you, but I wasn't not telling you. And she's like, but you didn't tell me. That's not telling me. These men, these people, it's so interesting to watch them. Like, I have to imagine that watching yourself back, if you choose to do so, has to teach you something about yourself, right? I mean, the contradictions in every conversation he has, like when he's like, I told you I would cook for you, but take cooking out. What have I not done? Tell me what I do for you. And she's like, no, you tell me what you do for me. He's like, no, that's for you to tell me what I do for you. And it's like, this dude, the idea that somebody might date him in the future after seeing this is just mind-blowing. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are any here, if somebody says to you, I would not try to lie to you, throw them away. That's a decision. That's a yes or no. You lie to me or you don't. It's not a, I'm not trying to lie. I'm just accidentally lying. No. I'm sorry you feel that way. Like, I'm sorry you feel lied to because I lied to you. Throw them away. She says, I feel like you ramble on. He says, I do, but it takes me a minute to process and I'm not trying to bullshit. No, you're absolutely bullshitting. You're scrambling to find the words. If you wanted, you could say, I need a moment to process. But actually, in these instances, he's not trying to process. He's trying to figure out how to lie to get out of the problem. There's a difference. Speechless. Izzy has royally messed up. He's lied to her, he admitted, and he's trying his best to change it into something different, right? And he's like, I just want to know that we're still fighting for each other. I just want to know, like, I just want us both to know that we're fighting for each other. He keeps on, you know me, you know me, you know me, and all this other stuff, right? And in the end, she says, it's gonna be okay. And that is the answer of Stacy, right? It's an open blank answer. It's what she's been doing this whole time. So he wants reassurance. She's looking point blank at him in the eye and she says, it's gonna be okay. Now, he's taking that as reassurance. He visibly kind of, and like, they hug. But it's gonna be okay is, you're gonna be okay no matter what. No matter what, it's going to be okay. It is not a, it's going to be okay between you and I, we're gonna work it out, everything's fine, I love you still. It's a open-ended, take this as you need to take it so that I can end this conversation and we can be done, it's gonna be okay. I truly believe that that's how she meant it and not the way he's hoping and he is interpreting and his delusion is taking it. We do, however, get our second I love you too. And then they immediately go to like, I feel like people are stinky, let's get deodorant. Because they cannot stay in that space before Stacy takes it someplace else. It does not stay there. And I think that that is significant. Lydia and Milton are on their Netflix sponsored date. It's at like a museum, looks like. And it's gorgeous. And now it makes me want to go to Houston. I've been there a couple of times, but it makes me want to go to Houston and go to that museum. They are, you know, they are at a really good place, which makes me nervous about this dinner. Like, I feel like I just hope that everything goes well and smooth and that nothing gets taken the wrong way just because they're drinking from their metal stemless wine glasses that tell us that Netflix set this up. But also, like, I feel like if they do get into like a spiff or something, it's just gonna be nerves and they'll be able to work it out, I hope. I feel like we don't have too much to worry about other than like maybe a little bit of like emotions getting us nervous at this point. Milton seems to be pretty rock solid in the idea that even if he does get upset or if things spiral, he is able to like take it back to like what was the crux of the actual problem. And I think that Lydia is going to trust him more and more. I feel like this is going to be a lot of conjecture, but like there's no way in hell that this woman was entangled with a man like Uche for over a year and she doesn't have some trust issues. Taking you at your word is going to be hard for her. Like allowing the space that maybe you actually mean it when you say you care about her and the way that you say you care about her is going to be hard for her just because she's been beat down just by that one relationship that we know about. So they are having a bit of a tiff. She is He mentions that sometimes she wakes up cranky for no reason. She's like, oh, you want my reasons? But even though this could be seen as negative, I am not going to take it as negative. Maybe it's just because I need them to stay on course, but I think it's more because I truly believe in them. I feel like this is real couple shit. I feel like Stacy and Izzy haven't been having real couple shit because Stacy doesn't see them as a real couple anymore. And I feel like they still see each other as a real couple, and they're having a little spiff about real couple shit. So we're just gonna hope that it stays on that level. Okay, so this conversation definitely veered, and they wind up bringing up Uche, the Uche situation. Basically, Milton's kind of like, you think you're not happy with these things, I'm not happy not being able to talk to you about certain things. And she is getting defensive, but we just now talked about the fact that like, she's been with Uche forever. Defensiveness is going to be one of the things that's going to come up. Not to mention we're all humans and that shit happens. But Milton does say something that is very, very, very smart. And it is something that I used to say to my little brother all the time. And that is, my brother used to like get into fights, right? It's like, I gotta go fight this dude because he called me these names. And I was like, so what? Like, you're gonna potentially get really hurt. And like, things can happen. And what if somebody brings a weapon? And, you know, like all of that kind of stuff. And he was like, that's disrespect. Well, Milton says, like, I understand that disrespect is gonna happen and that it's not about protecting my respect. It's about what actions I take next. Like when somebody disrespects me, I don't show them who I am by yelling or by getting louder or like, you know, my emotions that I show them. It's my actions next. And that is such a beautiful, strong, real sentiment that so many people could benefit from. And he's right. Like Uche did not deserve any more of Lydia's energy, but in fairness to her, we're now filming this show. Uche is talking to her friends about her, talking to her man about her. She's kind of stuck in an environment that she might have handled things differently with more time with her man to like process and move away from. But they both have very valid points. He should feel comfortable expressing himself. I can see how he wouldn't at this point. I think it's worth mentioning that like he is expressing himself and it is going not great, but not terrible. And also they've known each other for less than a month at this point. Lydia just left the table. Ooh, sorry about that. She needs a minute. Fair, take a break. The conversation was kind of like, I don't call people assholes. I don't have to say that they're a piece of shit. She's like, well, he is. He's like, thanks for telling me for the millionth time. And we see something that I think we've all seen in our own relationships. And if we haven't, then that's fantastic for you. But I think what Lydia wants is him to agree. And the truth is, I think he does agree. I think that he would never treat a woman that way. I think he would never make the choices that Uche made. I think he would not ever be as disgusting as Uche is or as insecure. But I don't think he's the kind of person, he just told us, it's about my actions. So he is going to show us that he agrees with her by continuing to be a man who would never behave that way. And for Lydia, I think she wants a bit more of like an emotional, impassioned, like, yeah, that guy's a dick. He should not have treated you that way. You know what I mean? Like, I think she wants somebody to meet her on her level. And that is something that will come. It will come. Amber and I communicate so differently, but now we know a bit about the other person and how to communicate with them. So sometimes, like, I'm very like, okay, but like in that situation, this is what they were saying. Like, and she's like, no, I am pissed. This is not about whose fault it was or what I could have done to make it better. I need you right now to be only on my side blindly and ridiculously. And I'm like, fuck yeah, screw that person. They're a dick. They don't deserve your energy. Move on. Like because I actually like agree with that. Like, I'm not gonna lie to her, but like, I will say just those things. That's what you need in that moment. Like, we can analyze it later. We can break it down later. We can talk about the best way to handle a dickhead at work later. If what you need in this moment is me just to call them a dickhead and just be in agreement, I'm here and I'll do it loud. I will scream and holler next to you because you need it. You know what I mean? And I think that Milton isn't there yet. I think what will happen if this relationship is allowed to like develop and be, is that he will learn a bit more, like to give her a little more direct support and direct like agreeance. And she will learn to need a little less. Like his language might never match mine completely. His energy might never match mine, but when he gives what he can, it's going to give her what she needs. And I can see them both kind of getting there. And I think that that's a great thing. That was uncomfortable. It was not the best, but I feel like even though we didn't get to see full resolution in that conversation, they did do a good job not completely losing their shit, getting their opinions out. And I think that they're both well-educated, smart people who are going to take what they heard and continue to ruminate on it. I can see how he feels uncomfortable and like he can't just express himself. I can see how she feels like unsupported in that particular instance. I do not think that they will confront that many types of situations. Like I feel like this is an extreme situation that will not continue to like show itself in their life, right? So it's not like a deal breaker in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not getting married, so my opinion is this big in the course of things, but I have high hopes and we are going into the wedding episode next. And then the reunion. Oh my God, I know you guys have already done all of this, but I am getting excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit this video, get a couple things done around the house, and hopefully be watching weddings by tonight.